Is Biden's campaign over? What's true and false? And the Supreme Court? What? Everybody, it's Maddie, host of Political Palette. Just the facts, politics from all sides. This episode's being recorded July the 3rd, so I'd like to say happy 4th of July, and thanks to all of our servicemen and women for serving our country. Now I have a message specially from Kamala Harris just for you. Take a listen.
Kosher salt, fresh ground pepper, maybe chop up a little thyme. And then you can mix it even with, okay, so do the salt and pepper all over it, just lather that baby up, right? With on the outside in the cavity. You could also chop up, but not with the thyme, just the salt and pepper. Mix that up also with some thyme. You could even do a little rosemary if you want. Under the skin with some butter before you're going to cook it. So that butter will just melt in there. And then get a nice big bottle of cheap white wine to baste with butter.
All right, Kamala, I see what you're doing. You're trying to help us cook, and I appreciate it. And I'd love to lather that all over. But Kamala, honey, we have much more important topics to get into. So let's talk about it. Your friends, Kamala, the Democrats, are freaking the hell out. Panic is an understatement. One operative texted, "Time for an open convention." That's code for Biden is toast. Even Biden's former White House communications director said his performance was terrible. And let's not forget, Biden stood frozen behind his podium for long stretches, eyes wide open like a deer in headlights. And if that doesn't scream confidence, I don't know what does. Our world leaders in other foreign countries must be looking at us like, wow, look at America. Once the best country in the whole world, now pretty much Anyway, Democrat strategist Claire McCaskill said Joe Biden had one thing he had to do tonight, and he didn't do it. Damn, Claire, tell us how you really feel. While Biden was tripping over his words, Trump was out there delivering zingers like a late-night comedian. When Biden claimed he beat Medicare, Trump quipped, well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death. He's destroying Medicare. Pretty savage on Trump's end. Whether you like or hate the man, he knows the right comebacks. And then there was the bizarre golf spat. Trump bragged about winning 2 clubs championships, claiming Biden can't hit a ball 50 yards, to which Biden shot back about his handicap, which Trump called the biggest lie. Just imagine it in his voice, guys. I can't do his voice. Guys, is this a debate or a golf tournament? Come on. I mean, I didn't sign up for a golf tournament, okay? I'm looking to hear news about politics and who's going to be leading the next 4 years of this country, right? Now, Democrats are left wondering if Biden should even be the nominee. Yeah, I mean, they're basically like pulling the plug. It's like the life support was on, the oxygen was in the nostrils, right? And now they're just like, you know what? Let's pull the plug. Let's turn off the breaker, unplug him, let's put him away here, right? There's talk about an open convention, which is basically the party's way of saying we need a do-over. Biden's shaky performance has reignited fears about his age and fitness for office. Now, our favorite vice president, Kamala Harris, tried to salvage the night by saying it's about choosing democracy over dictatorship. Come on, Kamala. Dictatorship is when your president doesn't even answer any questions publicly and can't even go in front of a press corps to talk to everybody and answer reporters' questions. And as of the recording of this episode, Biden still hasn't came out publicly unscripted to talk to journalists and answer questions. Every single time press pools ask him questions, he walks right by them. Come on, Kamala, right? I mean, would you answer the questions? I hope you would. But honestly, when your debate performance is so bad that your VP has to go into damage control mode, you know that you've screwed up. So you might be asking, well, Maddie, what's next for Biden? Can he bounce back from his train wreck of a week? He's got millions to spend on advertising and swing state infrastructure. But will it be enough? There's precedent for recovering from rough debate performances. Look at Obama in 2012. But with Biden's age and frequent gaffles, the road ahead looks very rocky. Now, do you guys know Jake Tapper? He's a CNN host and analyst. Here's his take on the situation.
Quote, we are all outperforming the president, but that's not sustainable, unquote. A second House Democrat that I spoke with told me that they had to leave the room just a few minutes into the debate Thursday night during Biden's, quote, we finally beat Medicare, unquote, answer. They had to leave the room because their blood pressure went through the roof, they said. House Democrat 2 then sat in the kitchen drinking for the rest of the debate. This was the first time this Democrat thought, wow, not only could Biden lose, I could too.
Honestly, I don't know how Jake Tapper could maintain his composure while he's reading that quote. I mean, yeah, it's true and all, but if I was Jake, I would be trying to hold in a smirk a lot at that moment. I mean, he's a good reporter, though. He goes right into the weeds of everything and figures out what's really going on. I'll tell you that much about him. He's very respectful and respectable, right? But I will say the fact that this Democrat staffer, their blood pressure rose, that is crazy. I mean, honestly, for me, it was more like just getting the popcorn out and seeing like all this beautiful work that was fabricated to make the Biden presidency exist completely just go up in flames right before everybody's eyes. And I could see how their blood pressure went up, honestly. Now, I'll preface with this. I'm not a fan of Trump, and I personally don't really care for him. But I'll tell you one thing. Biden's performance really made it hard to really hit the vote button, or not even the button, just sign his name in the ballot. I mean, the fact that he performed so bad, and it's just genuine concern for his security and safety and health. You know, I really cannot laugh directly at Biden because I watch clips and videos of the poor guy and my heart goes out to him. You know, I see him freeze in real time. I see him look around like a deer in headlights, just not sure what to do, how to react, what to say. And, you know, I feel bad for the guy. I feel like this is elder abuse territory. Now, I wanted to diverge the topic a little bit to coconut trees. Take a listen.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Kamala, only one person that I know fell out of a coconut tree, and she is the White House press secretary.
Last night at the fundraiser, the president blamed jet lag for his debate performance, but he was back stateside for well over a week. So does he really need more than a week and a half to recover from traveling in Europe? And is that really what he thinks caused his poor debate performance?
So, yeah, just a couple of things. And I do appreciate the question because the president has certainly spoken to this many times about the debate. And so he had an opportunity to do that in front of supporters. And as you just stated, he did that. He owned that the debate was not his best night. And he said himself, it's not an excuse, but it's an explanation. I was standing here yesterday and many people were asking why and what's the explanation. And that's what you heard from him. Look, the two, I think, in addition to the two major trips, he was also continued to do his presidential duties. He worked late in doing that, and he also prepared for the debate. And on top of that, there was obviously the jet lag, as you just asked about, and also he had a cold. And you all heard directly, you heard from him during the debate. He had a hoarse voice. Many of you reached out to me and my team and some other members of the White House asking what was going on. We confirmed that.
So let me get this straight. 12 to 14 days after returning to the United States on an international trip, he still had jet lag? I don't know about you, but when I get jet lag, it goes away within 1 to 2 days. I mean, what's going on here, really? I mean, even the fake news media, as Donald calls them, which I don't call them that. I mean, I actually think there's some credible organizations out there that exist, but sometimes they just don't tell the full truth, which isn't fair, which is exactly why we have this podcast to tell you the whole truth and nothing but. But I'll tell you one thing right now, okay? The fact that you could even sit here and say and believe that he had a cold and he had jet lag 12 to 14 days after return to the United States, that is crazy. I mean, maybe the cold part's valid, but other than that, it's insane to me.
So I think those two things, continuing obviously to do his duties as commander-in-chief, as the president. And so I think some of you here in this room can certainly relate to, you know, what could happen when you're having an important moment and you're not feeling well. And yeah, and also
every voter who's registered in America wishes they can do better this time around. They wish that they never gave Trump or Biden a chance to even touch the White House. But here we are.
And so he took ownership. I think that's important. And he's going to continue to make a strong case for his agenda, and that's what you're going to see. And he was given an explanation, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to get that out there and for people to hear directly from him, as he has been doing since Friday of last week.
Now, I want to say, just to get it out there, that I do not think that she is a bad person. Okay, she clearly is paid and has her job to support and defend the administration. That's her job. She's never going to go on stage and say that, oh yeah, this didn't happen or this did happen. They're not here to tell the truth. And quite frankly, it's the same thing during Trump's presidency. It was filled with lies, conspiracy theories, and a lot of things that just made the White House and our whole country look weak. Now, before we continue on to our next segment, I'd like to play a message from our sponsor, Empower United. Empower United is also my own personal nonprofit organization helping and supporting and advocating for young LGBTQ plus youth.
Discover Empower United, a beacon of hope and empowerment for LGBTQ plus youth. We are dedicated to providing the support, advocacy, and resources necessary to uplift and inspire our community. Our mission is to create a world where every LGBTQ plus young person feels valued, accepted, and empowered to reach their full potential. At Empower United, we offer a variety of programs and services designed to address the unique challenges faced by LGBTQ plus youth. We need your help to continue our vital work. By donating as little as $5, you can make a significant impact on the lives of LGBTQ plus youth. Visit empowerunited.org today to learn more about our programs and to make your donation.
Let's put all joking aside for a moment and ask ourselves, why is Biden sticking around despite the criticism? First, it's important to note that Biden still has a significant base of support. Grassroots fundraising spiked right after the debate, showing that his supporters are still rallying behind him. And let's be honest, it's not like the Democratic Party has a ready-made replacement just waiting in the wings. It's Biden or bust at this point. But not everyone is convinced this is the right move. Some Democrats are in full-blown panic mode, worried that another shaky performance could spell disaster for the party in the general election. I mean, it's one thing to have a bad night, but Biden really go toe-to-toe with Trump again and come out unscathed? Could he really do that? That's the million-dollar question. And speaking of Trump, let's not forget his performance. The man is a master at dominating the stage with his fast-talking, interrupting style. Say what you will about his politics, but he knows how to grab attention. Biden's strategy seemed to be more about staying calm and collected, but in the chaos of a debate, that can come off as weak. It's a tough balancing act. So with this, we ask ourselves, what's next for Biden? Well, he's got a couple of months to prepare for round two. Hopefully, he'll have shaken off that cold by then. Quote unquote cold. But more importantly, he needs to find a way to connect with voters and show that he's still the strong leader they need. It's not just about policy anymore, it's about presence and performance. And let's not forget the age factor. At 81, Biden's age is a constant point of discussion. Sure, he's experienced, but he's also up against a 78-year-old Trump who, love him or hate him, has an energy that belies his years. Biden's challenge is to prove that he's just not the elder statesman, but the vibrant, capable leader who can take the country forward. But hey, let's not get too serious now. This is Political Palette after all. So let's lighten things up with a little humor. Imagine Biden and Trump in a comedy roast instead of a debate. Now that's something I'd pay to see. Biden could throw out lines like, "Trump, your policies are like your hair. No one knows how they're still hanging on." And Trump could fire back with, "Biden, you've been in politics so long, you probably voted for yourself in the 1800s. All right, enough roasting. Let's get back to the serious stuff. What does this mean for the Democrat Party moving forward? Biden staying in the race signals stability, but it also means they need to rally harder than ever. The debates are high stakes, and every moment counts. It's not just about policy points, but about showing strength, clarity, and leadership. And for the voters is a reminder that in the next few months are especially crucial. Every debate, every speech, every campaign event will be under the microscope. Biden needs to bring his A game, and the Democrats need to show a united front. The stakes are too high for anything less. So what do you think? Could Biden bounce back and show the country he's got what it takes, or are we in for more debate disasters? Let me know your thoughts at speakpipe.com/politicalpalette, where you could send in a voice note up to 90 seconds in length. Do not forget to include your location and your name in that message so we know who we're dealing with. I'd love to play your clip on the show and get your opinion. Also, if you'd like to come on the show as a potential co-host or be interviewed by me, go ahead, email us at politicalpalette@playzonemedia.com. Now, I wanted to start talking a little bit here about the latest polls that came out post-debate. And this is from Real Clear Politics. So the average from June 20th to July 2nd shows Trump leading Biden by 2.9 points. Yeah, you heard that right. Trump is at 46.7%, while Biden is trailing at 43.8%. It seems like the orange man is back with a vengeance. Now let's break down some individual polls. According to the New York Times Siena poll, from June 28th to July 2nd, Trump has a solid 6-point lead over Biden, sitting at 49% compared to Biden's 43%. It's like watching a bad sequel where the villain just won't die. Over at the Wall Street Journal, the story's pretty much the same. From June 29th to July 2nd, Trump is leading Biden by 6 points again, 48% to 42%. I mean, come on, Joe, what's going on here? We know that you completely froze during the debate, but this shouldn't mean like a 6-point gain for your adversary. Even CBS News is showing Trump with a 2-point lead, 50% to 48%, in their poll conducted from June 28th to July the 2nd. Reuters and iPost has the race tied at 40% each, which is almost as shocking as finding out your grandma has a TikTok account. And if you thought it couldn't get any worse for Biden, the CNN poll from June 28th to the 30th has Trump up by 6 points, 49% to 43%. It's like the hits keep coming, and they're all chart toppers for Trump. But hold your horses, because the Harvard-Harris poll also shows Trump leading by 4 points, 52% to 48%. Morning Consult's poll from June 28th to the 30th has Trump ahead by just 1 point, 44% to 43%. And even Data for Progress, which tends to lean Democratic, shows Trump up by 3 points, 48% to 45%. At this rate, Biden might need to start campaigning in Florida retirement homes just to get a boost. So what does this all mean? It means Biden's campaign is in deep trouble, folks. These numbers are a wake-up call, a siren blaring in the night. The Democrats need to regroup and fast. With the next debate coming up, Biden needs to bring his A game, or he may be looking at a second term for Trump. And now let's talk about the battleground states. We've got Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. These states are the real prize, the swing states that can make or break a campaign. Right now, Trump is leading in several of these key states. In Arizona, Trump is up by 3 points. Nevada, it's a tight race with Trump slightly ahead. Wisconsin has Trump leading by 4 points. And Michigan is leading towards Trump by 2 points. Pennsylvania has Trump up by 3 points. And North Carolina is a nail-biter, with Trump just leading by 1 point. In Georgia, Trump's ahead by 2. These numbers are crucial because they highlight where each campaign needs to focus. For Biden, it's about shoring up support in these battleground states. For Trump, it's maintaining and growing his lead. Both campaigns will be pouring resources into these areas, and we can expect a lot of ads, rallies, and grassroots efforts in the coming months. Now let's take a trip down memory lane. On this day in history, July 3rd of 2020, Biden was leading by 8.8 points. And on July 3rd of 2016, Clinton was up by 4.5 points. It just goes to show how much can change in a few years. The political landscape is constantly shifting, and there's nothing ever set in stone. So what could we take away from all of this nonsense? Or not even nonsense, just craziness. First, polls are a snapshot of the moment. They can change, and they often do. So, no need to be pulling out those fire alarms and your rations and your food that lasts 30 years right now, okay? Don't you worry. But they can also give us a glimpse into the current mood of the electorate. Right now, that mood seems to be favoring Trump. Second, the battleground states are where this election will be decided. Both campaigns need to focus their efforts there if they want to win. And finally, Biden needs to step up his game. The next few months are critical, and every move counts. So what do you all think? Can Biden turn things around, or is Trump on his way to another victory? Remember, speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. I want to hear your thoughts right now about what you think about this current situation and everything going on. And remember, I'll always be vetting these voice notes. I'll make sure that they're ample to run on the show here, and if they are, I'd love to respond to some of them and just hear a little bit about what my audience thinks. So remember, you could send that over speakpipe.com/MattyUnhinged, or just contact me on social media at MattyUnhinged or at Matty.unhinged on Insta. Insta did me a little dirty there with the dot. But, I think what I'm taking away personally from this is I feel like it's an overreaction type of poll, right? Like, now we see at this point Biden is kind of ironclad and staying in the race. He's not leaving. He doesn't want to leave. he's pretty much there, right? Like, I mean, things could change though. Like if the Democrats decide all to rally up against him before the DNC convention, right? They could go ahead and launch new candidates, right, with the donors and all that. But at this point, it looks like they need to really all come together and unite and jump behind Biden, because this past week has been really horrible for Biden, and it really is unfair because it makes Biden look like way, way worse than he really is. I mean, we have to think Trump still is a massive liar on the debate stage. I don't understand why there's not articles being written every day about how many lies Trump had said, on that stage that night. So I just don't understand why there's not more media and attention going into that and kind of helping fix that and correct that. But I guess they don't like Biden, and I understand that, I understand that perspective. And at this point, after seeing the debate, personally, I am center left leaning. So I kind of just look at this whole situation and I'm like, this is a little bit tragic, for the Biden campaign, and not just a little bit, it's majorly tragic for the Biden campaign. And, I feel like we're going to be looking at a Trump presidency pretty soon. And honestly, I know some people in my circle, some friends, some family who are happy about that, right? They're happy about Trump winning. They're happy about him turning around the economy, lowering gas prices, all this stuff, right? I don't think it'll be as simple as they propose, right? Like there's no plan. It's just talk. It's just words. That's all politics is words and promises, empty promises at that, right? So there's a lot of things that could happen between now and then. But I'll tell you right now, enough people believe that Trump could turn things around for the country, and if he's given a second chance here to be in the White House. So I really don't know what direction things will go, but it is right now leading towards Trump. Now, I will preface this. Something one of my friends said, polls are not voters. And I completely agree, right? I mean, Hillary Clinton was leading in the polls a lot. Everybody thought Hillary was going to win if you were looking at the polls. That ended up not being the case. Trump won in 2016 and he was our president for 4 years, right? So, I mean, the more you look at it, the more things kind of shape up and you see the true side of everything. But I will say, Trump, if he did win, would you be upset about that? Would you feel like we're going to be heading into a dark period for America? Or do you feel like it'll be nice to just let him serve the 4 years and then you never hear his name again? I mean, as much as you hate him or love him, it really will be nice when he's officially out of the political scene and you no longer have to really worry about him interfering in future elections. Now, I will say that he could still interfere after his 4 years, because then he'll be endorsing a Republican candidate, obviously, and whoever he endorses, his cult will follow him, right? So, that's definitely possible. But as far as now, I mean, we're picking between a senile old man who has dementia, Alzheimer's, right? And we're picking between a man who is a convicted felon right now, and who knows what's going to happen with that trial, right? That's kind of crazy in general. And on top of it, he's a massive liar. And that's something that I want to get into now at this point of the show. All the truths and lies of the debate. So I'm using PolitiFact here, sponsored by the Poynter Institute. So let's just go through some of these here live with you. So Biden said, I've changed the law in a way where now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That is mostly true. And I'm not going to go into the whole, like, paragraphs and all that because, it'd take way too long. This is a long article. Trump said we had the safest border in the history of our country. That was mostly false. Biden, while talking about a bipartisan border bill, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. Half true. I don't know where PolitiFact is getting that, because I literally saw a tweet on X that said, from the National Border Patrol Council, to be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden. So I don't know what direction they're trying to go with that one. That's a little bit weird. Trump, Biden allowed in 18 million people. False. The number was about 11.4. I mean, come on. Okay. Even 11. Okay. Let's say Trump over exaggerated the number to 18 million. Even 11.4 million people illegally coming into the country. That's still bad. Come on. Trump, the problem Democrats have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. That is false. Trump, he caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. Mostly false. Okay, so I don't know how they would say mostly false. I mean, inflation was 1.4%. Now it's 9%. I mean, if you include the word essentially, essentially, Trump didn't say point blank, oh, there was no inflation, it was perfect. He said there was essentially no inflation. And by essentially, there was 1.4% inflation at the time. And now during Biden, there's 9%, right? So what one's really worse? Would you take 1.4% or 9% interest rate if you were buying a car and signing the paperwork for a loan? Go that thought process in it. That's how I like to look at things sometimes. But Trump said you'd look at the cost of food where it's double, triple, and quadruple. False. I mean, you know what? This PolitiFact article, I'm just reading it now. I don't know. I mean, food has gone a lot higher. Now, you know what? They're taking this way too literally, though. I mean, I understand Trump's like an over-exaggerator. He's just showman. That's what he does, right? But as I read this, PolitiFact's taking this so literal, like every single word, right? Quadrupling food costs would be an increase of 300%. But in reality, egg prices are 84% higher today. Come on. I mean, come on. Trump wasn't wrong technically, right? Prices are 84% higher in food than they were at that time before Biden took office. So I just don't understand. Really? And then they say part of which has been offset by rising wages. Yeah, the wages have rose, but the minimum wages haven't, have they? Is it $20 per hour in all the states? No, it's not. I mean, I'm of the part, like Bernie said, $20 national minimum wage. That's how it should be. I don't know about this article, not gonna lie, but let's continue reading, okay? It seems very biased against Trump, and it's getting in the way of the facts here. And I only want to deliver you the facts. I don't want to try to turn things here, but the way that they're like wording things is really strange to me, to be honest. Biden said economics say Trump's proposed tariffs are going to cost the average American $2,500 a year or more. Mostly true. Right? So Trump proposed a 10% across the board tariff, and that projects higher costs, right, overall. Now, I'll tell you another thing about this, though. Trump had tariffs before. Not 10% across the board, but it never caused inflation to the amount it is today. So I don't know what's going on there. Now, Biden said semiconductor jobs, build these chips, pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. Mostly false. The most a person would make without a 4-year degree is about $70,000. To earn a salary of $110,000 or higher, employees in the semiconductor industry need undergraduate or graduate level degrees. Biden, black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Mostly true. Right? So, this article is actually weird. I mean, I don't know how they look at this. What? So, under Biden in April 2023, black unemployment rate was 4.8. As of today, it is 6.1. Right? During Trump, it was 5.3. So doesn't that mean that during Trump, the black unemployment level was actually lower than it is now? Huh? I don't know. I feel like they don't expect people to actually read this stuff, so this is a little bit weird. I mean, there's a whole series of other things, and, Trump, the only jobs Biden created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, bounce back from COVID. False. Well, that's because COVID happened and everybody lost their job and had to get a new job. Trump said Biden indicted me because I was his opponent. False. Trump said Social Security, Biden's destroying it. False. Oh, he said that he's destroying it with the immigration. False. Biden said Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. That is false. Trump, he wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. False. Biden, I said I'd never raise the tax on anybody if you're making less than $400,000. I didn't. Mostly true. So mostly true, I guess, there. I mean, we haven't seen a change to the tax code, but that's gonna happen if Biden gets a second term here. Trump, I gave you the biggest tax cut in history. False. It was the 4th largest, so it was a pretty large tax cut, but so this one's not really a true or false. It's more like some hearsay. So I'm not going to read that. Trump said what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. False. Biden, we brought down the price of prescription drugs. Half true. I mean, he likes to take out the fact, though, that, it's only for elderly mainly. Biden, Trump wants to get rid of the ACA again. Half true. Trump said, I'm the one who got the insulin down for seniors. Mostly false. So, I don't know. Oh, well, Trump's plan included only one form of each dosage and insulin type. So, I mean, Trump still did it, but it wasn't as good as it is now. Biden said, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did. False, which is true, 65 service member, or no, how many was killed? 13 service members were killed during Biden's presidency so far. During Trump's presidency, 65 service members were killed. So obviously, Trump, more people were killed, but during Biden, there were still 13 people. Trump said we had no terror attacks. False. He did have 220 and a December 2019 mass shooting in Florida. So that was a terror attack. Now, the rest is obviously, January 6th stuff and golf related and all that stuff. Nobody really cares about hearing about that because it has nothing to do with politics. But overall, that's pretty much all of the truths and facts right there. That's the whole article pretty much. So, I mean, if you want to dive into this, this is pretty much where we're at this point, in terms of Trump and Biden and all that stuff and who's really the winner and who's the loser in the whole argument. I mean, a lot of it, though, is sad because it's like some of the stuff was taken out of politics. It really depends on a lot of different stuff. Overall, I mean, we could go into conversations for hours about a lot of this different stuff and kind of dive into every single topic, but that would basically take our show way too long, longer than normal, I would say. But, yeah, so what do you think? What's your thoughts? Make sure to send them over speakpipe.com/politicalpalette or message me on social media at Matty Unhinged. You could always do that anytime. So if you go to realclearpolling.com, you can see pretty much how things are going. It's a very nice website, by the way, just the way everything's kind of designed here. You could see pretty much polling averages all across the board, really. How things are going and how things aren't going. Things are going sideways in some categories. It really depends. And then also Project 538. I don't know if you heard about this. Trump wins 51 times out of 100 and Biden wins 49 times out of 100. So, it is pretty close in a lot of, segments here. But in other segments, it's actually pretty far apart. It really depends who you're looking at and what news source you're looking at, right? So I know we're jumping around a little bit, topics here and there, but I wanted to talk about one last topic before we end this episode. The Supreme Court ruling, and I didn't really want to get too much into this because I feel like it's a nothing burger, I mean, originally at first I was like kind of jumping onto the fear, right? Overall, like I was jumping onto the fear bandwagon, like, oh my God, this is the end of our nation, right? But that is just unequivocally false, and I'd like to do a little segment on that in just a moment. But I did want to say that reporters in the press pool at the White House press briefing today, they said it was tough to watch, and it's very disappointing. And as of now, there's a lot of Democrats, people in the Democrat Party, right, who feel like Biden's steadfast commitment to staying in the race is the wrong decision overall, and that he should drop out. And, this is kind of weird. Like, I feel like one of two things could happen. Either they all just say, you know what, okay, we're going 100% in and supporting Biden, or they're going to build their own coalition on the side and vote him out at the DNC and pick someone new, which they very well can do because he was not officially confirmed yet as the nominee of the Democrat National Convention. Now, I don't know how all the specifics would work here, but it's important to note all these different things, and things could also change, I mean, as of today, Biden did a medal ceremony. He barely said anything. I mean, he stood there, read some scripts on the teleprompter, and then just stood there handing the medal. He didn't even bother putting it on the person. Usually they put it around their neck and everything, but the White House is being extraordinarily careful now to let Biden do anything. They just handed it to them in like a wooden glass thing, and then that was it, And then when they asked him questions, he kind of just walked out of the room and ignored all the reporters. So that's what happened with that situation. But anyway, as of that latest update that I have for you here, let's talk a little bit now about the Supreme Court, right after this message from our sponsor.
Discover Empower United, a beacon of hope and empowerment for LGBTQ+ youth. We are dedicated to providing the support, advocacy, and resources necessary to uplift and inspire our community. Our mission is to create a world where every LGBTQ+ young person feels valued, accepted, and empowered to reach their full potential. At Empower United, we offer a variety of programs and services designed to address the unique challenges faced by LGBTQ+ youth. We need your help to continue our vital work. By donating as little as $5, you can make a significant impact on the lives of LGBTQ+ youth. Visit empowerunited.org today to learn more about our programs and to make your donation.
So, let's talk now about the Supreme Court ruling. The thing that I kept to the end of the show because, quite frankly, I don't know how big of a deal it really is. I mean, yes, it's big for the country, and I did put out a message basically saying, like, hey, you know, this is an unprecedented time in our history, and I definitely agree with that statement. I mean, it depends the angle that you look at this whole ruling upon, right? You could either look at it one of two ways. You could look at it as like this huge thing that is end of democracy itself, right? Or you could look at it as, you know, Kamala Harris saying this.
I'm gonna come.
Do not come.
So, yeah, there's a few different things you can look at this situation. But let's start with the basics. The Supreme Court just issued a ruling that has huge implications for former presidents and their legal accountability. This case in question was brought by none other than Donald Trump, who argued that he should be immune from prosecution for actions taken while in office. Trump's team pushed for a broad interception of presidential immunity, essentially arguing that anything a president does in office should be protected, even after they leave the White House. Trump's lawyers argued that the immunity should cover all official acts, claiming that this protection extends even beyond a president's term. They even suggested that his immunity could cover some extreme scenarios, like taking a bribe or worse. Yeah, you've heard that right. Pretty wild stuff. And the Supreme Court, however, didn't fully buy into Trump's broad interpretation. During the oral arguments, the justices posed some tough questions, especially Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who questioned the lack of disincentives for turning the presidency into a seat of criminal activity. I mean, it's kind of a big deal when you think about the potential abuse of power, right? The court's ruling ended up being more nuanced. They decided that former presidents do have some level of immunity for their official acts while in office, but this doesn't give them a free pass for everything. The justices made it clear that actions considered private or outside the scope of their official duties could still be subject to prosecution. So if a president did anything shady that's not part of their official job, they're not off the hook. What does this mean for future presidents? Well, this ruling sets a precedent that while there is immunity for some official acts, it's not absolute. That means nobody is above the law, not even a former president. This could have major implications for how presidents conduct themselves while in office, knowing that they could be held accountable for certain actions after they leave. Now, it reaffirms the principle that nobody is above the law, and they can be held accountable for their actions. Checks and balances are vital to our democracy. The reactions have been mixed. Some see this as a victory for justice and accountability, while others view it as an unnecessary constraint on presidential authority. On one hand, it prevents potential abuse of power, but on the other hand, it could be seen as limiting the executive branch's effectiveness. It's a fine line, and opinions are definitely divided. So that's pretty much my overall opinion on this whole ruling with the Supreme Court. I mean, I feel like there's not much farther we need to dive into it because really there is a fine line, right? And at the end of the day, it's still able to prosecute a president for things that he might have done personally. So if he accepts a bribe from Kim Jong-un, right, then guess what? He could be held accountable because that's an unofficial act, right? So there's a lot of things here that really need to be looked at. Now, of course, there's going to be arguments with legal scholars throughout the next few years. You know, hey, what's an official act? What's an unofficial act? We need to figure out all these, boundaries and everything overall. But, yeah, I mean, the Supreme Court decision, we knew it was coming. We knew it would go this way because it's Republican-led. And, of course, they're going to side more so with the Trump team, all right, overall. So there's nothing you could really do about that. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my take on it. If you have any thoughts, though, make sure to go ahead, send in a voice note, speakpipe.com/Maddie or /politicalpalette, and let me know your thoughts. I'd really like to hear them. It would be really interesting to play that here on the show. So, as I conclude this very long broadcast today, I'm glad you stuck with me to the end, and I appreciate it tremendously. Your support for the show has been showing all across the board, and I'm so thankful for it. Happy 4th of July to everybody, and I hope you enjoy your fireworks. I'll definitely be having some fireworks out there. I bought some great ones at Phantom. I'm excited to blow them off. And, yeah, I mean, have a great 4th of July. Have a great 4th of July weekend, if that, because we all know it doesn't end on the 4th. It's going to continue throughout the whole weekend. Celebrate your democracy however you see fit, honestly. And, through all these tests and things happening to us, just know it's not the worst in the world. And I don't think the world's going to end. Not yet, at least. We're still okay. I mean, maybe there'll be some hope. Maybe next week Biden will change his mind and decide to leave office. I mean, I honestly, I'm going to say this a little bit off the record. I hope he steps down so that we don't have to deal with Donald Trump. But if that's not the case, then I guess we'll be going with Trump. And, I don't think we should be all sitting here complaining and crying like little babies. Oh, my God, Trump's in office now. He's going to take away everyone's right. If he was voted in by the people, okay, that's what we get. That's what we deserve, okay? I mean, if we're the ones who voted for him, that's it. That's the end of the line. Let's let him see and prove to us what he can do. And I think he's been very mature this week by not posting anything publicly, not doing any events, or really posting much on his social media platform. He's been pretty quiet, and I think that's because he'd rather have, the spotlight as it is right now, fully aimed at Biden. And, the Democrats are kind of a dumpster fire at this point. Do we want them to run the country? Probably not at this point. We need them to do, maybe take a little 4-year vacation, do some reorganization, come out with a good candidate at the end of that 4 years, and then we'll reevaluate and make sure they are not over retirement age, because I'll tell you one thing, I'm tired of old presidents. This is Maddie. Thanks for listening to Political Palette, and thanks to the team at Playzone Media for organizing this. Oh my God. I don't want to be turned into the Biden here, folks. Okay. I hope you enjoyed, by the way, the rebranding of the show. We've changed the podcast art a little bit. We've changed up the style, added a little bit more jokes, made it a little bit more energetic, a little bit more exciting, but we also tuned in on the facts and made sure that we get those right the first time and report everything accurately as we can. So that's a big thing about this podcast. We'll be going through some changes here and there, of course, but that's like anything, we have to test the waters, figure out what fits and what doesn't, and You know, someday we might even have a video version of this podcast, which would be pretty damn cool. So continue to support us, politicalpalette.show. You can go ahead and follow me on my social media platforms at Matty Unhinged. Send in a voice note, speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. And in the description of this episode, you'll see a button that says you could send in a survey to tell us about how you think about the show. So let us know. What could we improve? Is the audio okay? Does my voice sound good? Does it sound gay enough, right? All these things are kind of questions that we need to ask ourselves. By the way, I'm joking about that last part. Okay, I'm not trying to be like some person pushing my agenda on you, right? Like being gay and stuff. Like, that's just who I am, right? Like, I'm sure everybody knows that at this point, and I don't want to make it a part of the show. Like, that should not be something that's like a focal point of this show. Like, you should listen to me because of the facts, and I get straight down to earth about everything, and I also add a little bit of humor. So if you like the show, share it to your friends, share it to your family. That's the only way we really grow this thing and turn it into something big. We need to go ahead and throw some, more firewood into the fire pit, grow the Political Palette into something big and special. Thank you, everybody, again, and hope you had a great 4th of July since you're listening to this on Friday. And have a good weekend ahead. Shut off those fireworks. Who cares about the township audiences? Anyways, this is not legal advice. I cannot be held responsible for just telling you to totally set off those fireworks. Have a good one, everybody.